Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm here with Aakash Patel, and he is the founder of Elevate. He's helped over 300 companies make significant connections and achieving results. He is, in my opinion, one of the most networked people in Tampa. How are you doing today, Aakash?
Great, Jordan. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here on the Clockedin podcast. And what a lot of people struggle with is making connections, getting to know people, growing into groups. How did your journey start?
Well, great question. Thank you for asking. I think Tampa, when I first came here out of college, I went to Florida State, so go Seminoles out there. When I first came here, Tampa was on the verge of something, but it wasn't quite there yet. It was still looking for that big anchor company, the big leader, the CEO of the community to kind of connect. So I basically just started calling everyone I knew, and I would go to networking events and literally just call them for coffee. Yeah. And I would sit down with them and say, hey, what should I read? Yeah. Right? Give me some books I should read. What articles should I be subscribed to, publications? And then what do I need to be doing to make sure Tampa is successful and our community is successful? And the short answer is everyone said just always add value. Yeah. So connect people. So I just started connecting friends and then started connecting more friends, and then people would meet randomly and would help connect them and business would come out of it. Yeah. And so I said, you know what? That's going to be my business. And so I started Elevate Inc. 11 years ago last month.
Oh, wow. Congrats.
We hit our 11-year anniversary last month. Thank you. And ever since then, people have just said, wow, it's so cool. I connect people, but I didn't think about it as a business. And so it's worked out. But I also bet on Tampa pretty early. Yeah. So over the course of time, as you can imagine, our community's been thriving with successful entrepreneurs like yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is that when we really think about Tampa and where it's been and where it's going, what did you see early on? Because 11 years ago, Tampa was very different.
Yeah, I just saw a lot of young folks like our age. You're younger than me. I mean, a lot of people that said, I'm going to do something. I don't know what, but I'm going to make it Tampa a pillar. I'm going to be a pillar of the community, and I'm going to give back, and I'm going to make Tampa my home. Yeah. And then once you start investing, of course, you started opening an office, you started bringing technology companies here, or opening restaurants, whatever the case may be. Then that's attractive. So the people said, I want to be part of this, and then you start joining these groups. And you start joining these little societies, and that society just grows to what you see today. Yeah.
And what do you think some of the best ways for people to overcome these, they always have a fear going into a new group. You know that. I mean, everyone has that experience where, I don't know anyone. How do I overcome this? What's a good way to approach that? And
just I think so our philosophy at Elevating is be bold, be brave, and be you. So that means, obviously when you see a circle of people at an event, there's probably already know each other. You just got to be bold and break into it. Yeah. But what I find is you can do that in this community, and they're going to welcome you. Yeah. They're not going to say, no, this is a closed circle. They're going to say, come on in, and what else can we talk about? Yeah. And so I think it's just that little push just to get you over the edge. And once you do that, you'll see that everyone wants you to succeed. Yeah. Everyone's rooting for you.
Yeah. No, it is pretty amazing when you start looking at Tampa and what's going on with Water Street and what's going on with all the entrepreneurs that we know, and seeing all the investment here. It's crazy.
Yeah, we're looking at the Tampa Bay Lightning. Look how great they've done. The Bucks, of course, their success. Yeah. The Rays were successful. So before we had the sports teams, now we have all the companies. We have all the Ybor City, what they've got going on with redevelopment. Yeah. You've got what you mentioned at Water Street. You've got what you're thinking about at the Armature Works. That Armature Works area is exploding. Right. Yeah. Right. If 5-6 years ago that was just dirt. So it's kind of cool to see. So when I look at where we are as a community, it's not only just tourism, because tourism obviously drives our state and our community, but it's also the businesses that want to vacation here, live here, and work here. And thankfully, during the pandemic, I was always hashtagging our line is Tampa has swagger. Yeah. And finally people were like, it really does have swagger. People come out and see experience what we have, which is a lot of great trails, a lot of great museums, and a lot of great attractions.
Yeah, absolutely. And the whole idea of Tampa has swagger, where did that even come from? Because it couldn't be more true at this point now, looking at it, where what do you want to do this weekend? Oh, there's barbecue festival, there's this event. There's so much going on that people don't even go to half the stuff. You can't.
Well, our old mayor, his name is Bob Buckhorn. He's still around. He's a great guy. He had so in the military, they don't give you your name, they give you a call sign. Okay. So the old mayor's military call sign for McDill was swagger.
Oh, really?
So when he would go on base, people say, "Swaggers arrived," right? Yeah. So at one point we were at a conference, and then everyone was talking about what's Tampa's tagline. And Nashville has the Music City, and Austin has keeping Austin weird. And I was like, Mayor, what if we call it Tampa Has Swagger? He's like, I like it. So then I went home and I bought the domain, and of course, I started using it, and it started to catch on because the thing about this is you need someone to kind of just say, this is where, just take the leap.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I started saying, if we say it enough, it's going to happen. And that's what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And what got you to think about this broader perspective than just, I know a lot of people just stay focused on their vision, on their business, and very narrow-minded, but you were looking at it as, hey, we're elevating the city. What caused you to start that?
Rising tides, lift all boats. I mean, that's really the kind of philosophy on it. I mean, my thinking out loud is, if we're going to succeed as a community, we have to work together. And some of these communities that you read about that are having some sort of troubles now, or even had troubles in the past, it's when you have two different factions and they just kind of, they work against each other. Well, we all want business to succeed in Tampa. We all want our housing market to be great. We all want our schools to be great.
Yeah.
So then I just started volunteering too. I started volunteering with different boards, and I didn't go to school at University of Tampa, but I got on their board of trustees. I'm not from here, but I got on the board of the Center Club, which is a private club in West Shore area. So I'm downtown Tampa. I never used to do a lot of business there because it's kind of weird to navigate. Yeah. But I'm the chair-elect of the Tampa Club, which is a club at the top floor of the Bank of America building, which has a great view of the community. So I just told myself that if I want to join an organization, I need to make a difference and leave a legacy. And then I now serve on Hillsborough Community College's board, as well as I chair the Early Learning Coalition. So all these organizations all have one common theme. Whatever the mission is, whether it's education for young children, education for community college, or even the clubs that are businesses, it's let's connect everyone and let's make sure our community leaves in a better place.
Yeah. No, I love that. And it does, it's kind of the overarching. And I think it's very healthy for people to view business in that capacity, because if you want it to just be for yourself, it's a very selfish mission. It's not this, hey, it's bigger than me, it's bigger than everything going on, and we should help this city promote. And some of the boards that you talked about are like University of Tampa, like I'm on the board of counselors there. And
nice. I used to chair that. It's a great group.
Yeah, and it's cool how everyone's interconnected. And we were even talking about that, how just everyone knows everybody and everyone's rooting for everybody.
We're a small, big city, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to be in a big community, you can hide in the suburbs. But if you want to be part of the small town, that I tell people jokingly, there's only 500 people that run this town. So, and if you join one group, you're going to be one of those 500 people. And then you're going to eventually stay around long enough, you're going to be one of those 500 people. So it's like every year you read the Power 100 in the Business Journal or the most people to watch in the Tampa Bay Times, and you're like, oh, wow, I know all these people. And it's kind of cool because, we're not that old, but we've seen them make a difference. And that's what I think. It's like, I used to read that list, reach out to them, ask them for coffee, and then now I'm like, okay, cool. They're like, can you do this? I'm like, sure, it's easy to connect me to this. I did that yesterday. I met with the bank president, and we're working with a company called City Furniture that's relocating a lot of offices here. They have a million square feet in Plant City.
Oh, wow.
And they've got 1,000 employees here now, and the CEO is our client. And the bank was like, hey, I'd love to meet City Furniture. I'm like, sure, I'll just set up lunch. I mean, the worst thing that the client could say is no, right? And the best thing the client could say is yes, and everyone wins.
And the best part about connecting people, which maybe not a lot of people understand, is that when you're the facilitator, it's a value add to everyone. Like if nothing occurs, you become more top of mind to those people because you help them, plus you got another relationship with them. So it's super beneficial.
Yeah, and I think in Tampa, there's a very, maybe the Super Bowl that was here, which was called my house. I mean, there's very few experiences that are like very limited. Tampa's got, if you want to get involved, you raise your hand, and some people everyone's going to plug you in.
Yeah, it's so true. And so for you, what allowed you to kind of have that confidence to go off on your own? Was that like post-college, like doing Elevate? Because the reason I bring that up is because if you look at most small businesses, by year 10, I think it's like 90 or 95% of them fail.
Right.
So for you to last 11 years, I mean, and that's just the start of it, is pretty incredible.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where I had bounced around like most people out of college. I was a journalist, I was in marketing, I was at a PR firm, I was in a mortgage company. I just was like kind of figuring out my life.
Absolutely.
And then you like what, if you love what you do, it's not work. You've heard that all the time.
Yeah.
And the other thing is failure is not an option. You just go at it and take that leap of faith. But when you see the results, so when you said earlier, when you connect people and you see the results, you're like, all right, I got something. Now I got to leverage. I got to make money.
Yeah.
So then you got to ask people, okay, how do you bill? How do you invoice? How do you market? Right. You got to ask those questions because I didn't go to entrepreneurship school. Right?
Yeah.
I went studied political science and English literature, but I ask a lot of questions. And so when I tell people out there that are thinking about starting the business, I'm like, ask a lot of people, some that you like, meaning some that are related to you, some that are close friends, some that you don't know at all, a lot of questions, because they're going to give you honest feedback.
Yeah.
And so for me, when I kept at it, your business plan, you've got to keep working at it. And so the confidence just came from, all right, well, if this event didn't work out, then I'm not going to do it again. So you're always evolving.
Yeah.
And for me, I just, again, like I said, I always wanted to grow. So when I started, I had 3 clients.
Oh, wow.
I lost 1 the next month. I lost 1 the third month. So after 3 months, I only had 1 client.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, all right, maybe this is not a good idea. But then what happens is you got to tweak your model. So my original model did not have taking people to events. It was just connecting people on email.
Oh, okay.
So after 3 months and having only 1 client, I was like, I can't pay rent. Like, I figured this out, right?
Yeah.
I tweaked it, so now I'm taking people to events, and that was 2012, August.
Yeah.
And we had the Republican convention coming to Tampa, and a lot of people were like, oh yeah, if you take me around, I'll pay you. And so we kind of morphed the model, and then we went to 8 clients in August of 2012. Today we have 31.
Oh, wow.
And 6 employees.
Wow.
But again, that's for
iterations.
Yeah, and you've got to keep at it. And I've got some months where I'm down, and some months I'm up. But you have to just stay positive and then keep working at it. And then listen. You have to listen to your clients and what they need, because if you listen to them and then do it, then you're going to succeed.
Yeah. And then the other thing is that the more value you provide to these people, the longer they're going to want to stay around, because they're making money from being in the vicinity of making it all happen.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's just about communication.
Yeah.
Every time we do something, we say, did you enjoy it? What can we do better?
Oh, feedback. I love that.
Yes.
That's so good, because when, and I just want to have the audience capture that, because when you really think about it, if you go and provide a service and you don't check back with these people, you have no idea if it was good, bad, ugly, indifferent. So having that instant feedback is vital. And you want an honest feedback too, not this, yeah, it was a good event. Not, you want honest, like, hey, I like this, I didn't like this could be improved. So it's the deeper questions you ask them, you'll get more from them.
Exactly. And we have a lot of clients that after 6 months or to a year, because we do 6 months to a year contracts, they say, you know what, you've helped us grow, and now we got to take it all in, and we'll come back. Yeah. So I hold them to it. I say, all right, well, when are you going to come back? And we talk about it, and we write it down, and then we call them when they're like, oh, you're ready? Like, oh, yeah, we're ready now. So we gave them that space, and now they're ready. And so the thing is, it's networking has the word work in it. So we understand we're adding a work service, but you have to be ready to take on that workload of connections.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to make sure that you're making the biggest difference to them as you can. Like, how many events are you going to? Like 31 clients, I can imagine that you're, and I mean, I've emailed with you back and forth, and we've spoken, and you got every event, you got every calendar, how do you handle it all?
Yeah, we've got a great team. My executive assistant, Julie's been with us for 9 years. She was part of the original business plan when I could afford one at 1-on-1.
Yeah. And
we found a great leader in that. And then again, we have 3 other colleagues that cover other events when I can't.
Okay.
And that helps too, because so we meet weekly, like staff meetings weekly, and we cover who's going to go on what, who's on second, who's on third. And we sponsor, to answer your question, 22 networking events a month. Wow. Sometimes there's 3 days, sometimes there's not in a week. And it just really depends on the week and what's going on. But I can tell you, today we had a luncheon, tonight we have a happy hour, and this morning there was a coffee. But I only went to the luncheon, and I'll go to the happy hour, right? So someone will cover the morning meeting. And if you think about it, if you give and empower young folks to lead at a young age, those events, and they're going to see, wow, I mean, this is awesome. You're meeting people, and you're consistently refreshing your skills on your elevator pitch and just following up.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the main reasons I have this podcast. It was because back in 2020, I realized that I needed to get out there and meet more people. And if I have the podcast, and if we're posting once a week, I got to meet new people, or I got to deepen those relationships. So I completely agree with you.
Yeah, great job with the podcast. I love what you're doing. I love the fact that you're adding the business questions too, because people think it's easy when you run a business. There's a lot of failure. And a lot of it, and there's a lot of trials and tribulations. And those stories are sometimes, no one knows, right? Because you only you walk up to somebody, you're like, oh, how'd you fail?
Yeah, you only hear about the wins, and that's not life. Like, life is, there's ups and there's downs. So for you, what do you see for people that are maybe teetering on that edge? Because I grew up in Jersey.
Yeah, me too.
So we got people teetering on that edge of, why Tampa? Like, why, what do you see in it?
I think it's this is your time to make a name for yourself. Right?
Yeah.
You don't have to be a 15 generation legacy person to be in Tampa.
Yeah.
You can come here, you can establish roots by just networking like you had.
Yeah.
And you can also ask questions to leaders pretty accessibly. And then, I would say join an organization and a non-for-profit. So do both.
Okay.
Join in like a chamber of commerce type thing, or join a private club or whatever it is, or join a non-for-profit and join a non-for-profit, and then work at it. Like work at it meaning make sure you're giving your time.
Yeah.
Because if you give your time, things will come back to you.
Yeah.
And same with organization. Volunteer to be a leader in the group, whether it's chairing a committee for marketing or young professionals or philanthropy, whatever it is. Just work at it and raise your hand.
Yeah.
Right? Because the hardest thing for you is not just write a check, right? You can write a check and join any organization. It's to get your hands dirty.
Yeah, and one of the things I really wanted to have Aakash on is because for myself, when I created Edwards Consulting, which is coaching, it's group coaching, there were 5 pillars. It's mental health, physical health, community service, philanthropy, spirituality, and relationships. And you rock at community. You rock at philanthropy. And a lot of people I find when I meet with them, they go, it's not out of my cards right now. It's not what I do. And I feel like a lot of people are missing that component. So what is the ways that you find nonprofits, or you find something, a community that you're looking for?
Yeah, great question. Just passion. So mine is very education, right? Education is a big one of most people's lives, but also children, right? So I want to help children that are, if you think about it, we have the biggest stat I read, I'm sure you read this, in 2030, half of the professions we know now won't exist, right?
Oh, wow.
Because of just the technology.
Yeah.
So you think about the children that are growing up now, the 0 through 4-year-olds now, we've got to educate them to be ready for whatever challenges ahead.
Yeah.
So we've got to make sure everyone has access to quality education. So that's why I asked the governor, not this governor, then Governor Scott, now Senator Scott, to chair the Early Learning Coalition. So I've been the chair for 8 years because they provide access quality education to the underserved. Yeah. And that's really the biggest thing is like we need everyone to have quality access. So I would say to the people that want to get involved, what is your passion? So if it's someone that really wants to mentor Boys and Girls Clubs, big brothers, big sisters, someone that really had a battle with cancer, American Cancer Society, Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, someone had a battle with stroke, American Heart Association, or whatever the organization is, there's endless amount of organizations. It's just do something and volunteer your time and your resources and your knowledge and your superpower is connections, right? Yeah. With something you care about and you understand. Yeah. So I see people join organizations and they don't know why they joined, and then I'm like, well, let's think about why you're getting involved. Yeah. That's what our company does. We help people kind of give them an assessment of what's going to make them tick. Yeah, and it's to add another level of who you are. You know what I mean? Because most of us sit in this one pillar of I have a business or I have a job and I want to get a promotion or I want to get more clients or I want to do this, but it's like more deeply like who are you as a person and what makes you really tick. And I know for you, you have a mentor, and wasn't it your grandfather? Yeah, a great question. Yeah, my grandfather's 95 years old. I recently hung out with him. My wife and I hung out with him in Miami, and he came. So you're talking about leap of faith. He came to this country not knowing the language. Yeah. Right to New Jersey, to New Brunswick, New Jersey. Okay. Worked for Johnson & Johnson, and he had the chance to sponsor not only my mom, my aunts, and my grandmother. He sponsored his siblings, right? So back then the visa issues, you could sponsor a certain amount of people. He was one of them. He brought his siblings over first before he brought my mom and my aunt. Oh, wow. Because he's like, I'd rather them get established. And then my mom, they all came over later. And today in New Jersey, or around the United States, I would say, my grandfather's responsible for bringing 300 people from India to the United States. I mean, that was maybe 50 years ago. Yeah. And he still talks about like the challenges he had. I'm like, that was bold because you left your country to come here, and you never know if someone's going to assimilate when you move countries, right? So it worked out really well, obviously, because he's still around and he's 95, and I think what's cool is he goes back to India and shares those stories, and they're like, wow, like you did it, like you literally lived the American dream. Yeah, and to be that token of inspiration for those who don't, and to get proper perspective of, oh my God, at 40 and 50, let's lift up our lives, go try this new thing, because apparently America's where it's at, and you don't even know where you're going, you don't know where your family is,
Like you're hoping that you can bring everyone over. It's a truly incredible story.
And you talked about mental health, which is great too, because I did ask my grandfather recently. I was like, "So how do you stay positive?" And like, how do you? Because you have to. He's like, "I meditate every day for how many 50 years or whatever." He's been meditating.
Really?
And I've been starting doing Pilates and I work out, but I thought about that. I'm like, if you really think about it, he's living a healthy life at 95.
Yeah.
And he's been through all this, and it makes a difference in your lifestyle if you're mentally prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it comes down to also having the conversations. Because mental health is such an internal game, and we want to handle it internally. But the truth is, we need to handle it with other people, and an unbiased view of not, hey, knock it off, you're fine, you can do it. More of a, hey, what are you going through? How can we overcome this? What can we change up that will change your mindset?
Yeah, and I think that's the conversation is great because there's some people that bottle it in.
Yeah.
And you just got to have that conversation with your mentors of what's going on because everyone's been through it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like they're doing it for the first time. Another thing I know about you is that you really enjoy to travel.
Yes.
How have you been able to manage the business and travel and like keep those experiences? Because for me, it's something where since probably the past eight years, I've been going international once a year, twice a year, but it's very important. It's time that cannot be missed. And a lot of people I find struggle with that idea of, how can you take a week off? How can you do 2 weeks off? And it's like, sometimes I'm off, sometimes I'm not off. Like, but I'm still going on my trips.
Yeah, I think you just got to make it a priority to turn your whatever screens you have, phone off, emails off, and say this is the out of office. Because so to answer your travel question, like you can imagine the pandemic, there wasn't much traveling going on. So I just made it a point. So write down at least 3 cities I want to visit a year in the United States, and maybe 3 countries I can visit. Now sometimes I can't get the countries because the logistics never work. But definitely 3 cities, and what I mean by that is like I went to DC last weekend. I went for work Monday, Tuesday, but I left on Saturday, so I could spend a couple of days with friends.
Incredible, yeah.
And then you still enjoy getting out of your routine.
Yeah.
So you've got to break up that routine just to experience life.
Yeah.
And every time you're in a city like DC, it's always things different happening. I was there for business, but it was fun. It was fun to get out and we try to do that a lot. My wife and I are going to Mexico in about a month or so. She's never been, and like I don't remember going, so like let's just try and just do something new. We have Tampa's direct flights everywhere. So
yeah, I mean that's the other big thing. From what I've heard is Tampa's international presence with the airport, because the airport's so incredible, easy in and out. You can get so many places in like no time.
Yeah.
So it really is. That's a really bustling thing that's helping Tampa grow a lot because it's so accessible.
Yeah, we've got great connections. We have a London now direct flight on Heathrow.
Yeah.
Virgin Atlantic just started. I think you're going to see some more. We have direct to Zurich. We have a direct to Germany every day.
Yeah.
I mean that's like who would have thought that 4 or 5 years ago that wasn't even available.
Yeah.
We have a direct we have also direct to Gatwick, and I'm sure there are going to be some more we're going to announce, and all sorts of Latin America flights too, the Panama City, and like I said, Mexico, and so it's exciting.
Absolutely, and then just Florida in general is the hotbed, and like everyone wants to be here. And how was your view on it with COVID? And I mean, obviously, it got rushed through, it got expedited a little bit, but how do you think COVID had an impact on that?
I mean, I think, you're seeing the results now, and our governor has been really open about this fact that some of the states that closed early, they're seeing some impacts now because people, they didn't have a chance to appreciate what they had.
Yeah.
They were just boxed in, and then it kind of messed up a lot of their lifestyle. Here we were a little bit hybrid. Some people were boxed in, some people could travel, whatever their cadence was. I think Tampa benefited, Florida benefited because we were always pretty much welcoming people.
Yeah. And
then if you think about business relocation, right? People had to relocate their businesses to where they could hire more staff.
Yeah.
To where the colleges were open.
Yeah.
And we were open, so people were like, all right, let's try Tampa. And now, I met a company from New Jersey the other day, manufacturing, that's doing a ribbon cutting here like in mid-March that just said, hey, you know what? We heard about you from the news. We're going to move to Florida.
Really?
Yeah. They just thought about it. Tampa wasn't on their radar. And then the pandemic happened, Tampa's status, grew nationally.
Yeah.
And now they're moving here.
And it's incredible because it's bringing in new jobs, it's bringing in more people, and it's an exciting environment to be around.
And they're high wage jobs. That's what people like. It's like great to have companies that move here, but like We want to increase the value of our community. We need high wage jobs. And what you have, like at least at the community college levels, a company like in cybersecurity, they want a program at the community college level or USF, whatever it is. They can create it now. They have now a direct connection. You're gonna have more people that are gonna go to USF, UT, HCC, and study that program, so they have a company that they can work for in Tampa, right? Because that company was here before.
That's the craziest thing, is because when I went to University of Tampa in 2014 and 2018, and you would literally see that connection where kids would just literally events would occur, and they're like, yeah, I got a job offer there, and you're like, what? And everyone's coming back with, I've had 3 or 4 jobs there, or I know 3 or 4 students there, and it's an exciting environment.
No, it's great. It's a great time to be here, and you know, at our company, we work with people every day that are relocating here, entrepreneurs that are starting businesses, and we say, you know, just make your list of people you want to get in front of. Read the newspaper, read the Times, read the Business Journal, read whatever publication you like, and just go get it. And if you have trouble getting it, that's where we can assist, right? I mean, at the end of the day, there's 2 things, right? Anyone can go research, right? But it's like the connectivity part. So that's what we're offering our customers. And at the end of the day, we get both. We have people, hey, you know what? I want to try it on my own, but if I don't do it, I'll call you. I'm like, listen, as long as everyone's winning, we're happy. Yeah.
How do you go about the intentionality of networking?
We ask them what's the best. What does success look like for you? So what's the best result? So if I go to a luncheon and the speaker is the commander of MacDill Air Force Base, and you want to, meet the commander of MacDill, why? Well, I want to meet him because I have some military connection and I want to recruit more veterans. Okay, so now I've got to figure out how to get to that speaker and tell them, all right, this is why they need to meet each other.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you just asked that of the clients, because what ends up happening a lot of times, and you've probably seen this response a lot, where they're like, oh, it's the speaker. That's who I want to talk to.
Yeah.
Which is the most valued person in any speaking environment, in the dynamics. And you could have pretty amazing people in the audience as well. But when you get really intentional about it, and it's like, this can really move the envelope for me if I speak with these people, that's where it comes down to. So I think understanding people's expectations is huge.
Yeah, and sponsors too. When you go to a luncheon or networking event for any organization, the people writing the checks write the checks so they can go talk to the community.
Yeah.
What I find is when people sponsor and then they don't get to meet all the members of the organization, the audience, like the clients are like, well, am I allowed to go talk to them? I'm like, yeah, they literally want you to. That's what their logo is on the flyer. And so a lot of it is just connecting the sponsors to the clients, because I love you guys want to get more involved. They need your service and vice versa. Let's just see what can happen.
Yeah.
So just making that initial, so we say draw a wish list and then let's go get it. And so what clients are really paying us for is like that strategy, right? Like, and again, anyone can go to an event, but it's like, let's get through that door and make sure that they listen to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it always helps when people have a known face or a known person, where it's, hey, we've been friends for a little bit here. You can hop in the conversation and we'll all kind of speak organically. Yeah.
Well, and I appreciate what you're doing. And again, our website is helpingourcity.com or tampaswagger.com. And if anyone wants to reach out, I mean, I'll share my information on
Absolutely.
And let's get together.
And how can they reach you?
Yeah, elevate-inc.com, elevate-inc, and my email is Aakash, Aakash, at elevate-inc.com. And we're on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. What I would tell people is just, reach out to me if you have a thought, an idea, if you want to speak, if you want to attend something.
Yeah.
We're very intentional, as you mentioned. We want people to connect.
Yeah.
And so all of our clients are public. It's on our website. And all of our services are public. What I don't want, and again, I encourage competition because I want people to do business with and have options. But ours is very simple. You work with us for 6 months, you're going to get 60 introductions per month, per every month. And we're going to take you to 22 networking events. So that's our model. It's been our model for 11 years, and we work with every industry and every type of entrepreneur. You name the entrepreneur, the type of entrepreneur, we work with them, because a lot of our clients don't know if Tampa's their home yet. So they come here once a week, or they fly here for a month, and then they'll go back to their home city and they'll evaluate. Okay. So we're kind of like the boot camp for networking.
That's fascinating that you bring them in right before they're like, do we make the decision? Is this something we're interested in? Yeah, I love that.
So it's exciting, but I'm looking forward to learning more about your business and any ways we can help. I'd love to.
Absolutely. Aakash, I appreciate the time.
Thanks so much, Rory. Appreciate you.